Yeah, we're live.
Not yet.
Awesome.
We're not live yet.
Oh.
It still like waits for me. Okay, good.
Okay, great. Okay, so welcome. My name's Hayley, and this is our final virtual tour of accessible routes in Bend in Central Oregon. Today I am live at the Lava Lands Visitor Center, another place that you can go to during this time. The main facility, which is managed by the Forest Service, is currently closed, but there are some open amenities so that users can still come to the area and enjoy the area while we're here. So every week we've been featuring a new accessible trail in Central Oregon and in Bend and in and around Bend. And yeah, this is our final episode or session at Lava Land. So I'm having a little bit of difficulty with reception, so I may not be able to move around as much as I had hoped, but I can kind of describe the area and then kind of show where you may be able to find the trails and accessible amenities. So, and I want to do one big shout out, a big thank you to Move United. They have been sponsoring our virtual series, both this one and our our backyard naturalists. So big thank you for their sponsorship and ongoing support of Oregon Adaptive Sports. So with that, I am going to flip my screen and start describing what I'm seeing around here. There is a lot going on right in my particular corner that I'm getting reception. We've got we've got a drone overhead, so that might be a little bit disturbing, but I'll try to talk a little bit over that. So right now I am on what's called the Whispering Pines Trail. It's about a 0.3 mile trail that connects from the south parking lot of Lava Lands to the main visitor center. I'm gonna turn my screen here. On one side of me, on the south side of me, forested, shady ponderosa pine forest where I was having poor reception earlier. But on the right side of me is a massive, if that's a word, lava field that is all pumice stones, and it goes on for miles. You can see from my screen that they're on the top. I'm looking towards the Lava Land or Lava Butte, which is, you can drive to the top of when the visitor center is open, but it's also, we can try to explore some of the trails that go into this lava field. So I am going to see if I can move a little bit forward this way and just show some of our key land center that I was talking. I wonder, can you hear that? Okay.
No.
No, okay, good.
No.
So but Jay here, and in front of me, I'm heading west towards the mountains, and I can see Mount Bachelor from this area. Once we get up into the lava fields, we'll be able to see a little bit more of the Cascades. And I'm going to kind of scan here. I'm just going to hold my screen here. You can kind of see in the far, but although the visitor center is closed, there are some that are accessible.
Hayley, you are cutting out a lot. Can you go back to that first area that you were?
Oh, sure.
We have some surface issues in the Lava Lands, which is good to note for anybody planning to hike out there.
Hear me okay now? So back up kind of at the crest of the Swiss Green Pines, and I'm facing the visitor center again, which is currently closed. As there are restrooms, water, a gift shop, and some information areas there. But again, that's closed for this season due to COVID. But as you can see here, there is a parking area that still remains open. And a trailhead for both the Liston Pine Trail and then also there is a 4 mile, it's called the Lava, I think it's a water trail, and that goes from this parking area all the way down to the Deschutes River. It's a great place if you're going to be cycling to bring a friend, and it's great. I'm not with it, I don't know the section. It's a low grade 4 mile one way paved trail that is away from any of the nearby roads. So it's just a really nice experience. And you can, it's a perfect for clean. I'm not sure, I did see a lot of people walking their dogs, but I think the best use for that area would be to come and bring your bikes and out and back from this parking area. There is limited accessible parking at this area just because it's technically the overflow parking. The accessible parking area is closer to the visitor center, which is currently closed. So I'm not sure how useful that would be, but there is, I'm here in the middle of the day and there is plenty of open spaces. Although there is some families here, there are lots of overflow parking and spaces that are adjacent to the trail entry and trailheads. Also in the parking lot, there is no lip between like the parking area, so it's pretty navigable in any sort of mobility device. And with that, I'm going to kind of scan forested trail, and I may not be able to make it too far because once this connects to another 3.3 mile trail that takes you up into that lava field I was just talking about that is on my north side. And
Hayley,
and it's really cool.
It's video back on. Try.
What was that?
Can you turn your video back on?
Oh, my video is on. I wonder if
I don't have it coming through.
Shoot. I might just kind of walk up on the lava lands and just show you from there.
Okay.
Yep. Can you see the video okay right now?
No. Let's see. I'll try stopping your video and then let's see if I can start it again. It was just a black screen. Now, will you see if you can turn your video back on?
You got it.
I turned it back. But nope, still black.
This might be.
Maybe maybe once you get up there, it'll come back.
Okay. Let's see if I can
keep going on here.
Get a little bit more open space. I'm not. Maybe we can see it from where I'm at. Okay. Any left now? Can you see it now?
Nope, no video. But
weird.
You can.
I can just keep describing where I'm
at. Yeah.
Okay. So right now I'm on a lava field. There is, I want to say like, I'm not very good at square mileage, but this lava field is very large. And I'm not too sure about the history or the natural history and geology of the area. There are lots of interpretation kiosks here at Lava Land. So that trail that I was talking about, the Whispering Pines Trail, does connect to what is called the Molten Lava, or the Molten Lava Trail. And that is about another 0.3 miles to half a mile that goes up into the lava field. It's all paved. It is about, 4 feet wide, and very smooth up into a certain point. There is it's really only accessible up into the, for about 0.3 miles. And then even though it is paved, it is very kind of rustic and not very, and narrows to about, a foot in width. But it's really cool because when you're up here, you can really feel the expanse of the area. The pumice that I'm on right now, it covers miles of square mileage that you can see kind of creeps into the forest, and it's a really interesting vantage point when you're up on the lava flow. And again, like I said, the north side of the lava flow is Lava Butte, which I'm sure is where most of this flow has come from. And let's see here. It's really cool out here too, because there is some plant life within this lava field. It's very sporadic, and you can imagine that it takes a lot for this different vegetation to really survive here. But there are pockets of different bitterbrush and wildflowers and sagebrush in some areas where maybe the soil has been there is some soil patches and maybe not covered by all of the lava. And every once in a while, there's like a lone pine, which is super cool out here as well, because again, it's just miles of pumice and rock and very little else. Really hard to navigate through if you're not using the path. So not recommended. And I'm not really sure if it's allowed. And then what's really cool too about this area is the feeling of the expanse, and then being able to see and feel the winds from the high Cascades coming through. It's kind of a windy area because again, you're so exposed and out of the trees. But what makes it cool is when you're in the pines, I think that's why they call it the Whispering Pines Trail. The wind that kind of moves through this area really moves the trees, and you can just kind of hear and feel them moving around you while you're walking through that area. So all in all, for good walking pavement at the visitor center, there's about a mile's worth of out and back of paved trail, and then so maybe a 2 miles round trip. Excuse me if I'm acting a little I'm a little distracted. Up out on the lava field, there are a lot of bee-like insects that keep swarming me a little bit.
Oh.
So it's a little distracting. What else is going on out here? It's let's see. The lava field itself, it has its own kind of ravines where you can tell. I'm sure at some point when the lava came through that it's it just isn't flat. It's very hilly and kind of moguls throughout the entire field. And I can imagine too, so I'm out here, it's about 10 o'clock, 10:30, and it's very warm. So this would be a best suited probably for an early morning hike or maybe a late evening hike to watch the sunset. Hot in the middle of the day, just with all of this exposure, it's very little protection out on the lava field. It can be pretty warm, but also just a really cool experience. Let's see here. And when you're going up, I'm imagining that I'm on the Molten Lava Trail as you're going up. There are some steeper grades going up into the lava field, but something that is navigable if you are using a mobility device. It would be helpful to have someone with you for maybe some assistance, but it's not too steep. until a certain point, there are some really great lookouts from the area that you can really kind of get a vantage point and just kind of feel the expanse of the area. And yeah, it's a really, really cool place to come and learn about some of the geology. I wish I was more of a geology um, expert while I'm up here to talking about it, but if you come here, there are some kiosks and signs that show the area. Um, and then kind of talking a little bit more about the cycling trail from here. There are, like I said, there are a few different options for routes from the lava lands. One is to explore the lava field, and the other is to take the cycling path from the Lava Land Center down to what's called the Benham East Trailhead, and it's all paved. It's like I said, it's about a 4-mile ride from Lava Lands down to the Benham East Trailhead, which is right next to the Deschutes River. And the experience on that trail is mostly through a forested pine forest. You can still see parts of the lava field on the north side, on your right side heading west. And it's just kind of a cool area, and there's just lots of little things going on, lots of at this time of year, just lots of chipmunks and our little ground squirrels that are kind of running back and forth through the forest. It's also kind of a nice ride because it is protected, shaded, so protected from the sun, also protected from traffic. Lava Lands is located south on Highway 97, just off, I want to say maybe 8 miles south of town. And that lava trail from Lava Lands to Benham Falls or Benham East Trailhead is going away from the highway. So it's really a neat natural experience that is close to town, but you don't really have to worry about feeling like you're getting any noise pollution from the highway. Gosh, I wish I was
Hayley,
able.
I have a question for you about the trail that goes
Please.
out to the Benham East Trailhead.
Uh-huh.
That cycling trail you were describing, how is the grade? What are the gradients like? Are they relatively gentle up and down?
I would say yes. So it
Okay.
is something to consider kind of as far as where you want to park. You can park at the Benham East Trailhead and ride up to Lava Lands.
Mm-hmm.
It is,
Sure. Okay.
I would say the grade is around ranging between like 2 and 5%. So there are some little kind of knolls you need to pop, that you need to a little bit of momentum to get over, but for the most part, it feels relatively not, I don't want to say easy, but gradual. So you don't feel like you're just kind of cranking up a huge hill. If you do start, or if from the lava center down to Benham Falls, it's all downhill, but it's like a nice kind of cruising path. And then if you just kind of set your bike at a lower gear, it's relatively kind of easy just to ride back up. So it's not very steep. I think it's maybe like 500 to 600 feet of elevation loss from the Lava Land Center down to Benham Falls. So
so it's a little bit of a workout going from Benham East Trailhead up to and over to and up to the Lava Lands Visitor Center. So it depends on whether you want a little bit of a workout at the if you're doing round trip, whether you want the workout at the the return or at the beginning. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of the
Okay.
way that I would recommend if you're interested in doing like a coast on the way down and working out, having a good workout for the first half of your ride, then to park down at the Benham East Trailhead. There are amenities down there. There is accessible parking, an accessible restroom. The parking area itself is packed gravel. And there is a small, a short packed gravel path that connects you to the paved lava trail.
Okay.
For kind of more of a description and some photos of that area, you can visit our the Thrive Guide post about lava lands and the routes from lava lands, to kind of see what that area looks like, and also to read a little bit more about the parking and accessibility down at the Benham East trailhead. But really, it's a little bit smaller. The parking, the facilities are, you know, it's a trailhead, so it's a little bit less parking down there. It's also pretty popular because you can also take that from that area, a path across the river to Benham Falls, which is about, gosh, I want to say it's like a half a mile from the Benham East trailhead to Benham Falls, on a little bit rougher single track road or single track trail. But that's another option. So there are lots of places to really explore around this area. The road that you turn off of at Lava Lands, if you just follow that road all the way down, that'll take you directly to the Benham East trailhead. So it's pretty navigable from Lava Lands. But yeah, thanks for asking, Bruce. I think it would be.
Yeah, I was going to say I have another question too, regarding the trails. Regarding the trails that you were describing, the Whispering Pines, and then it was what was the second trail that connected to the Molten? Was it Molten? Was it Molten?
It's a Molten Lava. The
Okay.
Molten Lava Trail.
And you were saying those two trails combined out and back give you about, did I hear you say maybe about a 2-mile round trip experience?
A little, I would say about a little less than that. So
okay.
if you're parked, go for it.
I was going to say, I'm trying to picture where that is in relationship to the Lava Butte, because I've been up Lava Butte. I've hiked up the paved, except that cars use, the road that cars use to get to the top. So I remember that and the fire lookout as well. But I'm wondering where these trails are in relation to the actual butte itself, the cinder cone.
Great. So in relation, and I would say in relation to Lava Butte, the trails are on the southern side of the butte. So do you know that if you went to drive the butte, if you drove through the visitor center area or parked?
Yeah, we parked at the visitor center, and then I believe the visitor center was closed that time. Yeah, in fact, I'm sure that it was. And then we walked through I think it was a locked or whatever, around a locked gate, and then somewhere we connected. Maybe we were on the road the entire time, but I remember we basically hiked up a road to the top, to the fire lookout.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I believe that road that goes up to the top of Lava Butte it runs adjacent initially to the to Highway 97. So it's on the eastern side of this kind of area. So in relation to those trails, those trails are going to be more east of that of that main that main road. And in relation to the visitor center, the Molten Lava is pretty much directly north of the visitor center, whereas the Whispering Pines Trail goes east of the visitor center. So for right now, while the visitor center is closed, if you're parking in the most eastern overflow parking, you can utilize both. You can connect two of the trails for about a little bit over, I would say, between 1.5 to 2 miles of an out and back up into the lava fields and back to the parking area.
Great.
So cool, Bruce. Well, thanks for sharing.
Good,
I bet that was a really cool experience.
It was.
Yeah. Did you hike up or did you ride your bike up?
We hiked. Yeah, we
hiked.
walked.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did it feel when you were at the top? Was it?
It was really windy.
Yeah.
Very windy. I'm trying to recall the time of year. It was before Thanksgiving. I think
Uh-huh.
it may have been late October last year. So
Awesome.
it was a little chilly, a little windy, but it was a great hike. I've been out there as well um, around March, or there was still snow on the ground. I think it was March a couple of years ago when there was still a fair amount of snow on the ground. So we stayed in the lower elevations, did not go up to the top, but it was a nice hike that time of year too.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I
great
can
place to go.
imagine, yes, in fall and spring are good times to come out to this area, just because it's not so, the cooler weather makes it a little bit more tolerable on these exposed buttes and exposed lava fields. So
Right.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think we saw one other party both times I was out there. So being off season was a good time to do some hiking.
Yes, yep.
Yeah,
And this
cool.
area, again, that brings up a good point that in the summertime, this is definitely a hot spot for visitors, and mostly just because of its accessibility off of the highway, and then also just because it's just kind of unreal. It's very unworldly out
Mm-hmm.
here too.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a high traffic area in the heat of the summer. But again, I'm curious how that's going to pan out this summer, just with all of the closures, if we're going to see as many visitors coming to the area. But yeah, I think with that, I'm as far as kind of coming out here. The reason I wanted to highlight this area is to show really that it was still an area that even though the visitor center was closed, was still really available to the public. I think that was exciting for me to know that they did put up some like restrooms and amenities here. There's no running water, so that's another thing to pack if you do come out here. But I really just wanted to really show that just because the visitor center is closed, they did open up the parking area so people can still visit here, and that the accessibility of it, just to be in like a new environment that is so different from what we experience around town and up into the mountains, that it just kind of is another good hike to just keep in your back pocket if you're looking for something new. So
Great.
yeah, so with that, I think we're gonna wrap this up, Bruce, and
All right. Sounds good.
we have, if you're interested in kind of listening to or seeing any other routes that we've done or featured, they are listed on that Thrive Guide to accompany the posts that we've been doing every Friday for accessible routes. And to reference those, always feel free to go to our website and check out a new route around Central Oregon and town. One thing to note about this area is that I will, in those posts, I'll reference if there is anything that Dial-A-Ride or maybe the Cascade East Transit does go to. Some of these areas that are further out of town, the transportation is a little bit more difficult and requires somebody to have their own personal transportation to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is one of those places where it would be nice to have a friend come with you to explore for that reason. But other than that, I think we're gonna make it a wrap. And Bruce, thank you for coming today. I'm so happy that you made it. And
well, I am too, Hayley. Thank you for
yeah,
putting this all together. And I've really enjoyed reading, which I discovered a couple weeks ago, your blogs on all the other trails in town. They're very well researched and very clear and easy to follow. And so I really appreciate the effort you put out in putting that all together. So thank you.
awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that too. Wonderful.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna flip this back around, and I don't know if even my video is still on, but thank you again for coming.
Right.
And this will be our final session. We may do some kind of sessions maybe once a month through the end of the summer, kind of depending. So if that does pop up, we'll let you know. And thanks again for visiting the Thrive Guide and coming out here with me today.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. And and last thing, thank you to Move United once more for sponsoring this virtual series. Okay.
Awesome. Nice.